While cleaning the office, the cleaner froze when she saw the Millionaire's name on the spreadsheet. It was the same man who got her pregnant 15 years ago. The alarm blared at 4:30 a.m., same as every weekday for the past 15 years. Diane Miller slapped it silent before it could wake Ethan in the next room. Their apartment walls were paper thin, one of many reminders of a life lived on the margins. She padded barefoot to the bathroom, avoiding the creaky floorboard by the door. The face that stared back from the mirror looked older than 35. Tired eyes, a few strands of gray threading through her auburn hair. She tucked them behind her ear, straightened her shoulders, and got to work. By 5:15, she was dressed in her gray uniform, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Diane moved through the small kitchen with practiced efficiency, brewing coffee and assembling Ethan's lunch. Turkey sandwich, apple, granola bar, and the chocolate chip cookie he pretended was too childish but always ate. "Morning, Mom," Ethan mumbled, shuffling into the kitchen. At 15, he was already taller than her, lanky and still growing into his limbs. His dark hair fell across his forehead in a way that made her heart catch, so like his father's. "You're up early," she said, sliding a plate of eggs toward him. "Big test today. Chemistry final?" He nodded, instantly more alert. "Mr. Ramirez says I've got the highest average in the class." Pride swelled in Diane's chest. "That's my boy. Genius level without even trying." "I try," he protested, but grinned around a mouthful of toast. This was their morning dance. Her quiet pride, his modest deflection. What remained unspoken was how his academic success was their ticket out, their shared hope for something better than a 2-bedroom apartment with unreliable heat and a superintendent who took weeks to fix a leaking faucet. "I'll be home late tonight," she reminded him. "Double shift." "I know. I've got study group until 6 anyway." Ethan's eyes, dark and thoughtful, met hers. "You don't have to work so hard, Mom." The familiar guilt twisted in her stomach. "It's just until you finish high school, then we'll figure something else out." What she didn't say. "Then maybe I can stop cleaning other people's messes for a living. Then maybe I can take those night classes. Then maybe I can be something more than just surviving." By 6:00 a.m., Diane was on the bus heading downtown, her body swaying with the familiar rhythm of the route. Chicago was waking up around her, the summer sun already warming the air. Through the smudged windows, she watched the neighborhoods shift from weathered brick buildings to gleaming glass and steel. Blake Industries occupied the top 15 floors of one of those steel monoliths. Diane had been cleaning there for 3 years now. After the previous company downsized and laid off their maintenance staff, the pay was better here, the benefits decent. Nobody bothered her much, which was exactly how she liked it. "Morning, Diane," said Sam, the security guard, as she badged in. He was one of the few who bothered to learn her name. "Morning, Sam. How's the knee?" "Doc says I need surgery, but who's got time for that?" He chuckled, waving her through. The cleaning staff room was buzzing with activity. 30 women and men preparing carts, checking schedules, downing last sips of coffee. Diane grabbed her cart and headed for the elevators. She was assigned to the executive floor this week, which meant earlier starts but easier work. The suits didn't mess things up much, not like the marketing department with their constant parties and brainstorming sessions that left sticky notes everywhere. By 7:30, she was dusting the conference room where the morning meeting would start in 30 minutes. The sunrise over Lake Michigan painted the room gold through the floor-to-ceiling windows. For a moment, Diane paused, letting herself absorb the view that cost millions, but that she got to enjoy for free. The executive floor was quiet. Most assistants wouldn't arrive for another 15 minutes. Diane moved from the conference room to the corner office. The nameplate beside the heavy oak door read, "William Blake, Chief Executive Officer." Her hands always trembled slightly when she cleaned this room, though she'd never actually seen its occupant. The CEO kept early morning hours, but always seemed to be in meetings by the time she reached his office. She'd just finished vacuuming when she noticed papers scattered across the desk. Unusual for this office, which was typically immaculate. Diane hesitated. The cleaning staff were strictly instructed never to touch papers or personal items, but these looked important. Spreadsheets, charts, things that probably shouldn't be left out. As she reached to straighten them into a neat pile, not reading, just tidying, one page slipped and floated to the floor. When she bent to retrieve it, the letterhead caught her eye. Blake Industries' quarterly financial report. And there, at the bottom, was a signature she'd recognize anywhere. A signature she'd once traced with her finger on love notes and birthday cards. A signature belonging to a man who'd disappeared from her life 16 years ago, just when she needed him most. William Blake. The William Blake. Her William. The father of her child. The floor seemed to tilt beneath her feet as 15 years of carefully constructed security crumbled. Diane gripped the edge of the desk, her vision narrowing to that signature. The same elegant scrawl, the same flourish at the end of the E. It couldn't be. And yet, she knew with bone-deep certainty that it was. The man whose office she'd been cleaning for months was the same man who'd made promises under summer stars, who'd given her the greatest gift of her life, and who'd vanished without explanation, leaving her alone and pregnant at 20. The distant ding of the elevator jolted her back to reality. Voices approached, assistants arriving, the day beginning. Diane shoved the paper back onto the desk and wheeled her cart out, barely nodding at the young woman who gave her a distracted smile as they passed in the hallway. In the sanctuary of the service elevator, Diane pressed her forehead against the cool metal wall and tried to slow her racing heart. What were the odds? What kind of cosmic joke was this? And most importantly, what the hell was she going to do now? 3 weeks after her discovery, Diane still hadn't figured out what to do with the knowledge that William Blake, her William, was the CEO of Blake Industries. She'd managed to swap floor assignments with Lucia, claiming a dust allergy that mysteriously only affected the executive level. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it bought her time. "Mom, you're not even listening," Ethan complained, waving a piece of paper in front of her face. Diane blinked, pulling herself back to their tiny kitchen table where dinner plates were pushed aside for homework. "Sorry, honey. What were you saying?" Ethan sighed with the exaggerated patience of a teenager. "I got selected for this mentorship thing at school. Only 5 students from the whole district." He slid the paper toward her. Diane's eyes skimmed the letterhead. Chicago Public Schools Exceptional Achievement Program, then landed on the partnership name that made her stomach drop. Blake Industries. What exactly is this? She kept her voice steady, years of practice hiding her panic. "It's huge, Mom. We get paired with executives for a summer program. Job shadowing, workshops, even college recommendation letters." His eyes shone with an excitement she rarely saw anymore. "And get this. It comes with a stipend like real money." Diane's mind raced. The odds of Ethan being paired with William had to be astronomical. Blake Industries had thousands of employees, dozens of executives. She was being paranoid. "When does it start?" she asked. "Next week. There's an orientation on Monday at their headquarters downtown." He grinned. "Pretty cool that you've already been cleaning there for years. Maybe you can show me around." Diane forced a smile. "That's not exactly how it works. I don't exactly hang out in the executive boardroom." I know. He rolled his eyes good-naturedly. "Still, it's like destiny or something, right? You working there all this time, and now I get this opportunity." "Destiny," the word echoed hollowly, more like a cosmic joke. "The stipend is $5,000. "Mom?" Ethan added quietly. "That's almost enough for a semester at community college." And there it was. The real reason she couldn't simply forbid him from participating. College tuition loomed like a mountain on their horizon, one they'd been preparing to climb with a mixture of scholarships, loans, and Diane's meager savings. $5,000 would make that mountain just a little less steep. "I'm really proud of you," she said, reaching across to squeeze his hand. "This is a great opportunity." She'd figure something out. She always did. Monday morning arrived with an unseasonable chill for June. Ethan emerged from his bedroom, wearing his only button-down shirt and the khaki pants they'd bought at Goodwill for his 8th grade graduation. 2 years later, they were an inch too short. "You look very professional," Diane said, straightening his collar. "Except for those sneakers." "Mom, nobody wears dress shoes anymore. Even Sias wears sneakers now." She doubted William Blake wore sneakers, but kept that thought to herself. "Remember what we talked about," she said instead. "Be respectful, pay attention, and don't mention you work there, I know." He grabbed his backpack. "It's not like I'm embarrassed, but I get it. Keep our worlds separate, professional boundaries and all that." Diane nodded, throat tight with unspoken truths. "Exactly." She busied herself at work that day, taking every available task to keep her mind occupied. Still, By 3:30, she found herself inexplicably drawn to the edge of the executive floor, watching from around a corner as the elevator opened and 5 teenagers spilled out, escorted by a woman in a tailored suit. Ethan was among them, his lanky frame towering over 2 girls in the group. His eyes were wide, taking in the opulent surroundings. Diane's heart swelled and contracted simultaneously. Pride in her brilliant boy, fear of the collision course she couldn't seem to prevent. The group disappeared into the conference room. Diane meant to leave, to retreat to the safety of the lower floors, but her feet carried her to the supply closet across from the conference room instead. Through the sliver of the open door, she could see the proceedings. The woman was introducing a distinguished older man, not William, but someone Diane recognized as the chief operating officer. He welcomed the students warmly, explaining the program's prestigious history and their careful selection process. And then the door at the far end of the conference room opened, and William Blake walked in. 15 years had changed him, but not beyond recognition. His dark hair was threaded with silver at the temples now, his face more angular, shoulders broader beneath his impeccable suit. Success looked good on him, Diane thought bitterly. "I'd like to introduce our CEO. William Blake," the woman announced. "Mr. Blake personally oversees this program and will be meeting with each of you throughout the summer." The universe really was laughing at her now. William moved around the room, shaking hands with each student. When he reached Ethan, he paused, almost imperceptibly. Something flickered across his face. Confusion, recognition, before he smiled and clasped Ethan's hand. "Ethan Miller," her son was saying. "It's an honor to meet you, sir." "The pleasure is mine," William replied, his voice exactly as she remembered it. "Miller, you said." Ethan nodded, and Diane saw William's eyes narrow slightly before moving on. She pressed herself deeper into the closet as the meeting continued. William spoke about the company's commitment to education and opportunity, about his own journey from humble beginnings. Diane almost laughed aloud. Humble, right? The Blakes were Chicago royalty, old money with connections everywhere. As the meeting concluded, the students were assigned to their mentors. Diane held her breath. "Ethan Miller," the woman called. "You'll be working directly with Mr. Blake." Of course he would. Diane closed her eyes as the room spun around her. When she opened them again, William was talking to Ethan, his hand on her son's shoulder. The resemblance between them, side by side, was unmistakable. The same jawline, the same thoughtful furrow between their brows, the same way they tilted their heads slightly when listening. How could no one else see it? As the group filed toward the elevator, Diane shrank deeper into the shadows. She'd managed to avoid William Blake for 3 years. Now, it seemed, their worlds were destined to collide after all, and she had absolutely no idea what to do about it. "So, how was it?" Diane tried to sound casual, as Ethan dropped his backpack on the kitchen counter that evening. "It was..." He paused, searching for words. "Incredible, actually. The building is like something out of a movie. We had lunch in this cafeteria with actual chefs. Mom, chefs, not lunch ladies." She smiled despite her anxiety. "And the program itself." Ethan sat at their small kitchen table, energy radiating from him. "I got assigned to the CEO himself, William Blake. Can you believe that?" Diane busied herself with dinner preparations, keeping her back to him. "That's quite an honor. He's not what I expected," Ethan continued. "I mean, he's obviously rich and powerful, but he's not stuck up. He actually listened when I talked, asked questions about school, what classes I like." He grabbed an apple from the fruit bowl. "It's weird, though." Diane froze. "What's weird?" "I don't know." Ethan took a bite, chewing thoughtfully. "It felt like he was studying me or something, like he was looking for something in my face." He shrugged. "Probably just nervous about making a good impression." Diane set a pot of water on the stove with more force than necessary. "So what happens next?" "I go back Wednesday. Mr. Blake is taking me and the other mentees to some tech conference." Ethan's eyes brightened. "And get this, I'm supposed to wear a company badge like I actually work there." Diane's stomach clenched. A badge meant security records, photographs, database entries. "That's great, honey." "Mom," Ethan's voice softened, "are you okay with all this? You seem weird about it." She forced a smile. "Just tired. It's a lot to process. I know it's not what we planned." He looked suddenly younger, uncertain. If you think it's too much, or it'll interfere with my summer job at the store. No, she interrupted firmly. This is a wonderful opportunity. I'm just being silly. Later, after Ethan had gone to bed, Diane sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea gone cold, trying to formulate a plan. She could quit her job, but they needed the income and benefits. She could tell Ethan the truth, but what would that accomplish? Would create confusion and pain for a boy who'd never asked for any of this complication. She could confront William, but the thought made her blood run cold. What would she even say? Remember me? The girl you ghosted 15 years ago? Surprise? We have a son. No good options, only choices between bad and worse. In his penthouse overlooking the Chicago skyline, William Blake swirled a glass of scotch, letting the amber liquid catch the light. His mind kept circling back to the boy from the mentorship program, Ethan Miller. Something about him was hauntingly familiar. The shape of his eyes, the way he gestured when explaining something he was passionate about. William couldn't shake the feeling they'd met before. You're working too late again? Jessica's voice cut through his thoughts. His wife of 12 years stood in the doorway of his home office, impeccably dressed despite the late hour. Jessica Harper Blake had been the perfect corporate spouse. Elegant, socially connected, tireless in her support of his career ambitions, and entirely wrong for him in every way that mattered. Conference call with Tokyo. He lied easily. They'd been lying to each other for so long it had become their native language. She didn't believe him. Her raised eyebrow said as much. But she didn't care enough to challenge him either. I'm heading to bed. Don't forget we have the foundation gala tomorrow. Wouldn't dream of it, he said, raising his glass in a mock toast. After she left, William opened his laptop and typed Ethan Miller, Chicago into the search bar. Nothing distinctive appeared. Some social media profiles that didn't match. Academic competition results from years that didn't align. He needed more information. The mentorship program had files on all the students. He'd review Ethan's tomorrow, ostensibly to prepare for their next meeting. Something about the boy tugged at him. A puzzle piece that didn't quite fit anywhere in the careful construction of his life. You're Diane Miller's son, aren't you? The question came from a sleek blonde woman who'd appeared beside Ethan as he waited in the Blake Industries lobby on Wednesday morning. She wore a designer outfit that probably cost more than his mom's monthly rent, and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Yes. Ethan shifted uncomfortably. I'm sorry. Do you know my mom? Jessica Harper Blake. She extended a manicured hand. William's wife. Oh, nice to meet you, Mrs. Blake. Ethan shook her hand, wondering how she knew about his mother. But before he could ask, the elevator doors opened, and the other mentorship students poured out with their coordinators. We'll chat again, Jessica said with that same cold smile, then disappeared toward the executive elevator bank. The encounter left Ethan unsettled, but the feeling faded as the day progressed. The tech conference was fascinating, full of cutting-edge innovations and brilliant people. More surprising was Mr. Blake's genuine interest in Ethan's opinions, asking what he thought of various presentations and actually listening to his answers. Over lunch at an upscale restaurant, where Ethan panicked briefly about which fork to use, Mr. Blake asked about his family. It's just me and my mom, Ethan said, carefully cutting his grilled salmon. No father in the picture. Mr. Blake's tone was casual, but his eyes were focused. Never met him. Ethan shrugged, the practiced nonchalance of a wound long scarred over. Left before I was born. Something flickered across Mr. Blake's face. Surprise, maybe even pain, before his expression smoothed again. That must have been difficult. My mom's amazing. She did everything herself. Ethan felt a surge of protective loyalty. She worked multiple jobs to give me everything I needed. She sounds remarkable. Mr. Blake's voice had softened. What does she do now? Ethan hesitated, remembering his mother's strange insistence that he not mention her job at Blake Industries. She works in building services for different companies. Mr. Blake nodded, seeming to accept the vague answer. The conversation shifted to Ethan's college aspirations, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had just transpired. Diane was mopping the 36th floor when her phone vibrated with a text from Ethan. Mrs. Blake knows who you are. She approached me today. The mop handle slipped from her fingers, clattering to the floor. Fear, cold and sharp, sliced through her. If Jessica Blake knew who she was, if she'd connected the dots between Diane and Ethan, she needed to talk to her son immediately. But as she reached for her phone again, she noticed someone watching her from the end of the hallway. Jessica Blake herself, elegant in a white dress that made her look like an ice sculpture, stood observing Diane with calculating eyes. Slowly, deliberately, she walked toward her. "Diane Miller," Jessica said, her voice honey over steel. "I thought it was time we met properly. We have so much to discuss." Diane straightened, instinctively squaring her shoulders. After 15 years of running from her past, it seemed the past had finally caught up with her, and it was wearing 4-inch Louboutins. "We have nothing to discuss." Diane kept her voice steady, despite the panic rising in her chest. Jessica's perfect eyebrow arched. "Don't we? Your son looks remarkably like my husband. Perhaps that's worth discussing." "I don't know what you're talking about." Diane reached for her mop, desperate for something to hold on to. "Please, I'm not stupid, Diane." Jessica glanced down at her watch, a gesture that somehow managed to emphasize the vast difference in their positions. "William mentioned meeting a promising young student named Ethan Miller. I had your name in our employee database. Simple arithmetic." Diane's mind raced. How much did Jessica actually know? And how much was she guessing? "My son has nothing to do with your husband." "No," Jessica smiled thinly. "If that's true, you won't mind if William continues mentoring him then, building a relationship with him." Something in Jessica's tone, the casual cruelty, the implicit threat, ignited a protective rage in Diane. "Stay away from my son." "Or what?" Jessica's voice remained perfectly pleasant. "You'll quit, with those medical benefits your boy needs for his asthma medication. Or maybe you'll tell William the truth." She laughed softly. "Go ahead, see if he believes the cleaning lady over his wife." Before Diane could respond, Jessica's phone chimed. She glanced at it and sighed dramatically. "Board meeting. We'll continue this delightful chat another time." As Jessica clicked away down the hallway, Diane leaned against the wall, legs trembling. Jessica knew, or at least suspected, the truth about Ethan, and whatever game the woman was playing. Diane was certain of one thing. Jessica Blake was not someone to underestimate. William sat in his study that night, surrounded by old photos and letters he hadn't looked at in years. The mentorship program had stirred something in him. Memories he'd tried to bury, questions he'd stopped asking. Ethan Miller, 15 years old, no father, a determined single mother. The timeline fit too perfectly to be coincidence. William reached for the bottom drawer of his desk, unlocking it with a key he kept separate from the others. Inside was a small wooden box containing remnants of another life, ticket stubs, photographs, a delicate silver bracelet he'd never returned, and letters. Letters from Diane that his parents had supposedly forwarded to him during his hasty study abroad program in London, a program he now realized had been engineered specifically to separate him from a relationship they'd deemed unsuitable. He'd written to Diane too, heartbroken letters asking why she never responded, why she left town without a word. Letters his parents had assured him they'd send. Had they lied about that too? William's phone buzzed with a message from Jessica. Coming home late, foundation paperwork. He didn't bother responding. Their marriage had been a business arrangement from the beginning, the merger of two prominent Chicago families, cementing social and financial connections. He'd agreed to it in a fog of resignation after Diane's betrayal, too emotionally exhausted to fight his parents anymore. William turned back to his computer and the background check he'd requested on Ethan Miller. "Standard procedure for the mentorship program," he'd told his security team. Nothing unusual about a CEO wanting to know more about the students under his guidance. The report was sparse. Honor roll student, debate team captain, part-time job at a local grocery store. Mother Diane Miller, 35, single. Employed by City Clean Services, the contractor that handled Blake Industries' janitorial work. Father, unknown, no name on birth certificate. One detail caught his attention. Ethan's birthday, November 12th, 2009. Almost exactly 9 months after William had last seen Diane. "Mom, why did Mrs. Blake know who you are?" Ethan cornered Diane the moment she walked through their apartment door. She'd been dreading this conversation all day. "I clean at Blake Industries, Ethan. I've probably been seen on security cameras. But she specifically asked if I was your son." Why would she care? Diane busied herself with taking off her coat, buying seconds to think. I don't know. Rich people are strange. You're not telling me something. Ethan's voice had that edge of teenage suspicion, the one that signaled he was no longer the little boy who accepted her explanations without question. It's nothing, really. She attempted a reassuring smile. How was the tech conference? Ethan hesitated, then allowed the subject change. Pretty amazing, Mr. Blake introduced me to the VP of Research and Development. She said they might have internship spots next summer. That's wonderful. Diane forced enthusiasm into her voice while her mind spiraled with possibilities. None of them good. He asked about you, Ethan said casually, watching her reaction. Diane froze. Me? Why would he ask about me? Just normal stuff. What you do if I live with both parents. Ethan shrugged. I told him it's just us, that my dad left before I was born. Diane struggled to keep her expression neutral. What did he say to that? He seemed, I don't know, sad. Maybe. Ethan grabbed an orange from the fruit bowl. Then he started asking about college and what I want to study. Ethan? Diane took a deep breath. If Mr. Blake asks more personal questions, about me, or us, or your father, I'd rather you didn't share too much. It's not appropriate for a professional mentorship. Ethan's eyes narrowed. What's going on, Mom? You're acting weird. Nothing's going on, she lied. I just think there should be boundaries. Later, after Ethan had gone to bed, Diane dug out her own box of memories from the back of her closet. Inside were photos of a younger, carefree William, throwing his head back in laughter, eyes crinkled at the corners, arms slung around her shoulders on Navy Pier. She hadn't looked at these in years, couldn't bear to see the happiness she'd lost. Tucked at the bottom was the last letter she'd written him, returned unopened with, "No longer at this address." Stamped across the envelope, she'd sent it to his parents' home after his school mail stopped getting responses, desperate to tell him about the baby. How different would their lives have been if that letter had reached him? In his bedroom, Ethan wasn't sleeping either. He opened his laptop and typed, "William Blake family," into the search bar. Hundreds of results populated the screen. Charity galas, business announcements, society pages. He clicked on an image from a fundraiser 5 years earlier. William and Jessica Blake stood smiling for cameras, the perfect power couple. But it was the older couple beside them that caught Ethan's eye. William's parents. According to the caption, the resemblance between William and his father was strong. The same resemblance Ethan saw every morning in his own mirror. A wild, impossible thought began to form in his mind. He dismissed it immediately. His mother would have told him something that important, wouldn't she? Yet the seed of doubt had been planted, and Ethan found himself scrolling through more photos, searching for answers in the faces of strangers who suddenly seemed disturbingly familiar. William couldn't sleep. His conversation with Ethan kept replaying in his mind, each detail adding to his growing suspicion. At 3 a.m., he found himself in his home office again, staring at the timeline he'd pieced together. He needed answers, but not from Diane. Not yet. There was someone else who might know the truth. Morning found him driving to Lake Forest, to the stately colonial home where he'd grown up. His parents had officially retired to Palm Beach, but his mother still spent summers in Chicago, tending to her beloved garden and maintaining her social obligations. Eleanor Blake was pruning roses when he arrived, wearing garden gloves and a wide-brimmed hat that had probably cost more than most people's monthly mortgage payments. "William," she brightened, surprise and pleasure in her voice. "What brings you here on a weekday? I need to talk to you." His tone must have conveyed his seriousness because her smile faltered. "Of course, darling, let's go inside." In the immaculate sitting room, a space designed for appearance rather than comfort, William declined offers of tea and proceeded directly to his purpose. "I need to know what happened with Diane Miller 15 years ago." Eleanor's hand paused midway to her teacup. "Diane Miller, that's a name I haven't heard in years. The exchange student you sent me to London to escape from." "We didn't send you to escape from anyone, William." Eleanor's voice took on the practiced smoothness she used at difficult charity board meetings. "We provided an opportunity for international education that has clearly benefited your career. Stop it." "Mother," William leaned forward, "I'm not 20 anymore. I deserve the truth." Eleanor studied him for a long moment. "Why now? After all these years? I've met someone who made me question what I thought I knew. Fear flickered across Eleanor's face. What do you mean you've seen Diane? Not exactly. William watched his mother carefully. I've met her son. 15-year-old son, to be precise. The teacup clattered against its saucer. I see. Do you? Because I've been doing the math, and there's a very distinct possibility that boy is my son. Eleanor set the teacup down entirely, a tremor in her hand. William, whatever you're thinking, did you intercept her letters to me? The question had been burning inside him for days. Did she try to tell me she was pregnant? It was a long time ago. These details. Yes or no, Mother? Eleanor's posture stiffened. We did what was necessary to protect you from a relationship that would have derailed your entire future. You were 20 years old, for heaven's sake. That's not an answer. Yes. The words seemed dragged from her. There were letters. Your father handled it. Handled it? William's voice rose. What does that mean? Did he pay her off? No, she refused money, actually. A flicker of something, respect, crossed Eleanor's face. She had principles. William stood, too agitated to remain seated. So I have a son I never knew about because you and Dad decided I wasn't entitled to make my own choices. You have a wonderful life. William, a successful company, a suitable wife, all the things we wanted for you. All the things you wanted, he corrected. Where are they? The letters. Eleanor hesitated. In your father's study, the locked cabinet behind his desk. William was already moving. His father's study remained unchanged since his death 3 years ago, a shrine to Robert Blake's methodical organization. The key was where it had always been, in the small Japanese box on the bookshelf. The cabinet contained folders meticulously labeled by year. William found 2009 easily. Inside were 5 envelopes addressed to him in Diane's handwriting. 4 had been opened. The 5th, postmarked September 2009, remained sealed. With shaking hands, he slid it open. William, this is my last attempt to reach you. I've called, written, even gone to your parents' house where your mother turned me away at the door. I don't understand why you've cut me off completely, but I have to tell you this one thing, even if you never respond. I'm pregnant. The baby is yours, and I'm keeping it. I don't want anything from you. Not money, not promises. I've accepted that whatever we had is over, but this child deserves to know who their father is. If you want to be known, I'll be at the coffee shop where we met on October 15th at 7 p.m. If you don't come, I'll understand that you want no part in this child's life, and I'll never contact you again. Diane William sat heavily in his father's chair, the letter trembling in his hands. 15 years. 15 years of a son's life he'd missed because of his parents' interference. We thought we were doing what was best for you. His mother stood in the doorway, her voice uncharacteristically tentative. Best for me. He looked up, a lifetime of anger compressed into those 3 words. You decided I shouldn't know I had a child. She was a cleaning girl from the wrong side of town. Eleanor's chin lifted defensively. Your father, don't blame this on Dad. William stood. You were equal partners in this theft. Theft. That's rather dramatic. What would you call stealing 15 years with my son? Eleanor paled. You don't know he's yours. Not for certain. I know enough. William gathered the letters, tucking them into his jacket pocket. The question is, what do I do with this information now? Diane received the call at work, her heart stopping when she saw Blake Industries' executive office on her caller ID. Ms. Miller, this is Andrea Collins, Mr. Blake's assistant. He'd like to meet with you this afternoon regarding a building services matter. Diane's mouth went dry. I'm not the floor supervisor, that would be... Mr. Blake specifically requested you, Ms. Miller, 3 o'clock in his office. The phone clicked before Diane could form a response. This was it. The moment she'd been dreading for weeks. William knew, or at least suspected. Perhaps Jessica had told him. Or worse, perhaps Ethan had somehow discovered the truth and confronted him. She considered running, grabbing Ethan and disappearing again, starting over somewhere new. But they'd tried that once before, and it had only bought them borrowed time and a lifetime of looking over their shoulders. No, she was done running. At precisely 3 o'clock, Diane stood outside William's office door, still in her gray uniform, hair pulled back in its practical ponytail. She'd debated changing, but decided against it. She wasn't here to impress anyone. Ms. Miller, A sleek woman, Andrea presumably, nodded toward the heavy wooden door. "You can go right in." William stood at the window, silhouetted against the Chicago skyline. When he turned, the shock of seeing him up close after 15 years nearly buckled Diane's knees. He'd aged well, distinguished now rather than boyishly handsome, but unmistakably the same man who'd once been the center of her world. His eyes widened slightly as he took her in, and she wondered what he saw. The girl he'd known, or the weary woman she'd become. Diane. Her name and his voice unlocked a flood of memories she'd fought to keep contained. "Mr. Blake." She kept her tone neutral, professional. "Your assistant said you wanted to discuss a building services matter." He gestured to a chair. "Please sit." She remained standing. "I prefer to stand. Thank you." Always stubborn. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Some things don't change." Diane crossed her arms. "What do you want, William?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope, placing it on the desk between them. "I found this today, along with others like it." Diane recognized her own handwriting immediately. The letter, her final desperate attempt to tell him about their child. "Where did you get that?" Her voice barely registered above a whisper. "My parents had it, they had all of them." His eyes held hers. "I never knew, Diane. About the baby. About Ethan. I never knew." Diane stared at William, her mind struggling to process his words. "You never knew," she finally managed, disbelief evident in her voice. "No." William's eyes held a pain that seemed genuine. "My parents intercepted your letters? They told me you'd left town suddenly? That you wanted a clean break?" Diane gripped the back of the chair, suddenly needing its support. "I wrote to you for months. I called. I even came to your house. I was in London by then. A study abroad opportunity that materialized overnight." Bitterness laced his words. "Orchestrated by my parents." Apparently, the world tilted beneath Diane's feet. For 15 years, she'd carried the weight of William's abandonment, his choice to discard her and their unborn child. That anger had fueled her through sleepless nights, through financial struggles, through the loneliness of raising a child alone. What if it had all been based on a lie? "Why would they do that?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "You know why. You weren't from the right family, the right background." William ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made her chest ache. "God, Diane, if I had known, would it have made a difference?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Of course it would have." His voice was firm, certain. "He's my son." Reality crashed back around her. "No, he's my son. The son I raised alone for 15 years while you built your empire and married your perfect society wife." "That's not fair," William protested. "I didn't know." "And now that you do," Diane challenged, "what exactly are you planning to do with this information?" William looked genuinely confused. "I want to know him, Diane. I want to be part of his life. It's not that simple. I know it's complicated, but does Jessica know?" Diane cut him off. A shadow crossed William's face. "Not yet. I wanted to speak with you first." "Well, she suspects." She approached Ethan, then confronted me. Diane straightened, protective instincts flaring. "I don't want my son caught in the crossfire of your marriage." "Jessica and I," William hesitated. "Ours isn't a conventional marriage." "Spare me the details of your arrangement." Diane moved toward the door. "I need time to process this and to figure out how to tell Ethan." "You haven't told him." William looked surprised. "That his father is the CEO of the company where I scrub toilets?" "No, that hasn't come up in conversation." William flinched at her harshness. "I'd like to be there when you tell him." "Absolutely not." Diane's protective instincts surged. "I'll tell him my way, in my time. He's my son too, Diane. Biologically, yes, but you don't know him. You haven't earned the right to be in that conversation." Before William could respond, the office door opened and Jessica swept in, immaculate in a navy dress that probably cost more than Diane's monthly rent. "William, the Hendersons are waiting in the—" She stopped, eyes narrowing as she registered Diane's presence. "Well, isn't this cozy?" The tension in the room thickened to something palpable. William straightened, his expression smoothing into the corporate mask Diane had observed from afar, but never seen directed at her. "Ms. Miller and I were discussing building services issues," he said evenly. Jessica's gaze flicked between them, calculating. How fascinating. I wasn't aware the CEO personally handled cleaning complaints. Jessica? William's voice held a warning. No, please, continue your discussion. Jessica's smile was arctic. I'm simply here to remind you about the Henderson meeting. 5 minutes, darling. She brushed past Diane on her way out, the scent of expensive perfume lingering in her wake. William sighed once the door closed. I should handle this now, but we need to talk again soon. Diane nodded, suddenly exhausted. I'll be in touch. As she walked back to the service elevator, Diane's mind raced. William hadn't known. He hadn't abandoned them intentionally. The realization shook the foundations of the narrative she'd built her life around, and now everything was about to change. You're spending a lot of time with the Miller boy, Jessica observed that evening. Swirling her wine glass, William looked up from his laptop. He's part of the mentorship program. Yes, but you've taken a special interest in him. Jessica's eyes were sharp. One might almost say a paternal interest. William stilled. What are you implying? Oh, William. Jessica laughed lightly. I'm not blind. The boy is practically your clone. Those same soulful eyes, that same habit of running his hand through his hair when he's thinking. She set her glass down. He's yours, isn't he? There was no point in denying it. Yes. And the cleaning woman, his mother, she's the college girlfriend, the one your parents saved you from. My parents didn't save me from anything, William said tersely. They interfered in my life and kept my child from me. Jessica studied him coolly. What are you planning to do about it? I don't know yet. Get to know him, establish a relationship, and our marriage. William met her gaze directly. Our marriage has been a business arrangement from the beginning, Jessica. We both know that. A very profitable arrangement, she reminded him. My family's connections opened doors that made Blake Industries what it is today. I'm aware. Just so we're clear, Jessica stood gracefully. I have no intention of becoming the discarded wife. Whatever relationship you develop with the boy, our public image remains intact. William watched her walk away, struck by the complete absence of emotion in her negotiation. No anger, no jealousy, just the cold calculation of assets and liabilities. Had they ever loved each other, even at the beginning? He turned back to his computer, where Ethan's file was open. The boy was brilliant. His academic record showed consistent excellence despite attending underfunded public schools. William felt a surge of pride, followed immediately by profound regret for all the years he'd missed. Ethan found his mother distracted that evening, moving around their small kitchen with unusual clumsiness, dropping utensils and forgetting ingredients. You okay, Mom? He asked, catching the salt shaker before it hit the floor. Fine, just tired. She smiled weakly. How was your day? Pretty amazing, actually. Ethan couldn't contain his excitement despite his concern for her. Mr. Blake took me to meet the engineering team. They showed me the prototypes they're working on for next year. Diane's smile tightened. That's wonderful. He asks a lot of questions about you, Ethan said casually, watching for her reaction. Her wooden spoon stilled over the pot of pasta. What kind of questions? Just stuff about our family. Where we lived before? What you do for fun? Ethan shrugged. It's kind of weird, actually. Diane turned to face him, her expression serious. Ethan, there's something I need to tell you about Mr. Blake. Ethan's heart raced. Was she finally going to confirm what he'd begun to suspect? But before she could continue, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her face paled. I need to take this, she said, stepping into her bedroom. Ethan stood in the kitchen, frustration and confusion warring within him. Whatever his mother had been about to say, he knew it would change everything. He just didn't know if he was ready for it. How dare you call me at home? Diane hissed into her phone, closing her bedroom door to keep Ethan from overhearing. We need to talk. Jessica's voice was cool and collected on the other end. About your son and my husband. There's nothing to discuss. Oh, I think there is. Jessica paused. I've hired someone to look into your past, Diane. Someone very thorough. Diane's blood ran cold. Are you threatening me? I prefer to call it due diligence, before the situation gets out of hand. William already knows, Diane said, taking small satisfaction in the brief silence that followed. Does he? Jessica recovered quickly. And what does he plan to do with this revelation? That's between William and me. Let me be clear. Jessica's voice hardened. I will not allow some cleaning woman and her bastard son to threaten what I've built. The Blake name means something in this city. Fury surged through Diane. Don't you ever call my son that again? Meet me tomorrow, the Lakeview Cafe at 10. We'll discuss terms. Terms for what? For your silence, of course. Jessica sounded almost bored. Everyone has a price, Diane. I just need to figure out yours. The line went dead before Diane could respond. She sat on the edge of her bed, phone clutched in her trembling hand. Jessica wasn't just suspicious. She knew everything and was prepared to fight dirty to protect her position. A knock at her door startled her. Mom, Ethan called. The pasta's boiling over. Diane took a deep breath, pushed Jessica's threats aside, and opened the door. Sorry, honey, that was work. Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly, but he didn't press. They finished making dinner in relative silence, Diane struggling to act normal while her mind raced through increasingly dire scenarios. She had to tell Ethan the truth, and soon, before someone else did. The next morning, Diane sat at a corner table in the upscale Lakeview Cafe, feeling conspicuously out of place among the ladies who lunched. She'd taken a personal day, something she rarely did, but this situation demanded her full attention. Jessica arrived precisely at 10, turning heads as she glided through the restaurant. She slid into the chair across from Diane with practiced grace. Thank you for coming, she said, as if this were a friendly catch-up between colleagues. Let's skip the pleasantries, Diane replied. What do you want? Jessica signaled to a waiter, who appeared instantaneously. Sparkling water? Please, and for you. She looked at Diane with polite expectation. Just coffee. After the waiter departed, Jessica opened her designer handbag and withdrew a manila envelope. I believe in being direct. Inside is a cashier's check for $250,000. Diane didn't touch the envelope. And what am I supposed to do for that money? Take your son and relocate, preferably to another state. Jessica's smile never reached her eyes. A fresh start. Isn't that what single mothers always want? You can't be serious. I'm entirely serious. The money comes with two conditions. First, you sign an NDA preventing you from ever claiming William as Ethan's father. Second, you leave Chicago immediately. Diane stared at her, incredulous. You expect me to take my son away from his home, his school, his friends, and prevent him from ever knowing his father, for money. It's a generous offer, enough for a down payment on a nice house somewhere, perhaps a college fund. Jessica leaned forward. Be sensible, Diane. William may be curious about the boy now, but eventually, the novelty will wear off. He isn't father material. You don't know the first thing about William, Diane said quietly. Jessica's perfectly manicured nails tapped against her water glass. I've been married to him for 12 years. I know him better than you ever did, and yet you're terrified he'll leave you for the cleaning lady. Diane couldn't resist the small dig. Jessica's composure slipped for just a moment, her eyes hardening. This isn't about William leaving me. This is about protecting Blake Industries from scandal. Do you have any idea what would happen to the company's stock if this became public? William's parents may have made mistakes, but they were right about one thing. You don't belong in his world. The words stung. Resurrecting old insecurities Diane thought she'd buried long ago. The memory of Eleanor Blake turning her away at the door, telling her she wasn't suitable for her son, flashed vividly. I'm not after William or his money, Diane said firmly, but Ethan deserves to know his father, and William deserves to know his son. Such nobility. Jessica's voice dripped with condescension. It would be admirable if it weren't so transparent. What's that supposed to mean? Jessica closed her handbag with a decisive snap. You've played the long game, Diane. 15 years waiting for just the right moment to drop your little bomb. Well played, truly. Diane stood abruptly. This conversation is over. Consider my offer carefully before you decline, Jessica warned. It won't be repeated, and trust me when I say you don't want me as an enemy. Diane walked out, leaving the envelope untouched on the table. Stephen Rhodes had been a private investigator for 20 years, specializing in high-profile divorce cases. Jessica Blake had hired him 6 days ago to dig into Diane Miller's past. Now, sitting in his cramped office, he scrolled through the final report he was preparing. The basics were straightforward. Single mother, Steady employment history. No criminal record. The boy was an excellent student with no disciplinary issues. But what had caught his attention was the timing. According to his sources, Jessica Blake had known William in college. They'd moved in the same social circles, which meant she would have known about his relationship with Diane Miller. Rhodes pulled up an old photograph from a charity gala in 2008 in the background, barely visible but unmistakable. Jessica Harper, as she was then, watching William and Diane with an expression that could only be described as calculating. A little more digging had uncovered something even more interesting. Phone records showing calls between Jessica and William's parents around the same time William had been abruptly sent to London. Rhodes leaned back in his chair, considering the implications. Jessica hadn't just married William after Diane was out of the picture. She'd helped engineer Diane's removal. His phone rang. Jessica Blake's number flashed on the screen. "Do you have the report?" she demanded without preamble. "Almost finished," he replied. "There are some interesting connections I've uncovered." "What kind of connections?" Rhodes hesitated. His loyalty was supposed to be to his client, but something about this case left a bad taste in his mouth. "Perhaps we should discuss this in person." "I don't have time for that. Email me what you have now." "Mrs. Blake, there's something you should know about your own involvement." "My what?" Her voice turned to ice. "I think you've misunderstood your assignment, Mr. Rhodes. You were hired to investigate Diane Miller, not me." "Of course." He backpedaled smoothly. "I'll send what I have immediately." After hanging up, Rhodes stared at his screen. Jessica Blake had hired him to find dirt on Diane Miller, but he'd accidentally uncovered something much more damaging. Evidence that Jessica herself had conspired with the Blakes to separate William from Diane 15 years ago, knowing full well Diane was pregnant. The question now was, what should he do with this information? Diane spent the day in a daze, Jessica's threats echoing in her mind as she mechanically cleaned office after office. She'd returned to work despite taking a personal day, needing the routine to ground her while her world threatened to spin out of control. The vibration of her phone startled her. A text from the school, "Please contact the main office regarding Ethan Miller." Her heart dropped. Had something happened to him? She dialed immediately. "Lincoln Park High School." A brisk voice answered. "This is Diane Miller. I got a message about my son." "Yes." "Mrs. Miller, Ethan left campus without permission after lunch. He hasn't returned for his afternoon classes." "That's impossible," Diane said automatically. "Ethan has perfect attendance. I understand your concern, but the fact remains that he's not here. We've tried calling his cell phone, but he's not answering." Diane thanked the secretary and hung up, panic rising. Ethan had never skipped school in his life. Something was very wrong. She called his phone repeatedly as she changed out of her uniform, straight to voicemail every time. Where would he go? His friends would be in school. He didn't have relatives in Chicago. Then it hit her. Blake Industries. William was reviewing quarterly projections when his assistant buzzed. "Sir, there's an Ethan Miller here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he's quite insistent." William's heart jumped. "Send him in immediately." Ethan burst through the door seconds later, flushed and breathing hard like he'd run the whole way. His normally composed demeanor was gone, replaced by raw emotion that made him look younger and more vulnerable. "Ethan, is everything all right?" William rose from behind his desk. "Are you my father?" The question exploded from the boy, hanging in the air between them. William froze. "What?" "I did the math. Mom was with someone right before I was born. You keep asking about her. About me. And we look alike. Everyone sees it." Ethan's voice cracked slightly. "Just tell me the truth. Are you my father?" The moment William had both dreaded and longed for had arrived without warning. He wasn't prepared. Hadn't discussed this with Diane. Had no idea how to navigate this delicate terrain. But looking at his son's face, so much like his own, he couldn't bring himself to lie. "Yes," he said quietly. "I am." Ethan stumbled slightly, grabbing the back of a chair for support. Despite his suspicions, the confirmation seemed to hit him physically. "Does my mom know you know?" William nodded. "We spoke recently, yes. And were you ever going to tell me?" Anger flashed in Ethan's eyes. "Or were you both planning to keep playing this weird game where you pretend to be my mentor while secretly being my father?" "Ethan, it's complicated." "Don't." Ethan cut him off. "Don't tell me it's complicated. Tell me why you abandoned us." "I didn't abandon you," William said firmly. "I didn't know about you until very recently." Ethan scoffed. "Right. You had no idea Mom was pregnant when you disappeared." "That's exactly right. My parents sent me to London suddenly. They intercepted your mother's letters telling me about you." William gestured to the chair. "Please, sit down. Let me explain." Ethan remained standing. "So you're saying this is all your parents' fault? That they kept you from knowing about me against your will?" "Yes." William moved toward him, desperate to make him understand. "If I had known about you, everything would have been different." "Different how?" Ethan's voice was bitter. "You would have stayed with Mom, married her instead of Mrs. Blake. Somehow I doubt that." "I loved your mother," William said, surprised by how easily the admission came, how true it still felt after all these years. Ethan stared at him, searching his face for signs of deception. "Then why did you never try to find her, even years later?" "I thought she'd left willingly. My parents told me she'd moved on, wanted nothing to do with me." William ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Ethan himself often made. "I was young and hurt, and believed them." The door to William's office swung open without warning. Jessica stood in the doorway, taking in the scene with cool assessment. "I see the big reveal has happened," she said, stepping into the room. "How touching." "This isn't the time, Jessica," William warned. She ignored him, turning to Ethan. "Has he told you the whole story yet? About how your mother tried to trap him with a pregnancy? How she refused the generous settlement we offered?" "What settlement?" Ethan looked between them, confused. "Jessica, stop it," William snapped. "The boy deserves the truth." "William, about his mother's opportunism." "My mother works 3 jobs to support us," Ethan shot back. "She's never taken a dime from anyone." "So noble." Jessica's smile was venomous. "Did she also tell you she's been lying to you your entire life? That she kept you from knowing your father?" "That's enough," William's voice thundered through the office. "Get out, Jessica. This is my company too, darling. Or have you forgotten whose family connections built Blake Industries into what it is today?" The tension in the room was suffocating. Ethan backed toward the door, overwhelmed. "I shouldn't have come here," he muttered. "Ethan, wait." William started toward him, but Jessica stepped between them. "Let him go, William. This little family reunion is over." Before William could respond, the office door burst open again. Diane stood there, still in her cleaning uniform, hair escaping its ponytail. "Ethan." Relief flooded her face at the sight of her son. Then she registered William and Jessica, and the tension crackling between them. "What's happening here?" "Mom," Ethan's voice was hollow. "Were you ever going to tell me the truth? That he's my father?" The color drained from Diane's face. She reached for him, but Ethan stepped back. 15 years, Mom. 15 years of lies." "I was protecting you," Diane pleaded. "From what? From knowing who I really am. From having a father." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "Did you hate him so much that you'd rather I grew up without a dad?" "No, Ethan, that's not." But Ethan was already pushing past her, running for the elevator. Diane moved to follow, but William caught her arm. "Let me," he said. "Please." Their eyes met, years of hurt and confusion suspended between them. Then Diane nodded once, and William rushed after his son. Jessica observed the exchange with cold fury. "This is going to destroy everything we've built." "No." Diane turned to her, shoulders squared despite her exhaustion. "This is going to destroy everything you've built on lies." The two women faced each other, adversaries across a battlefield 15 years in the making. While somewhere in the building, a father raced to reach his son before it was too late. William caught up to Ethan at the lobby security desk, where the guards had stopped him from leaving, due to company protocol for unaccompanied minors. "Ethan, please," William said, slightly out of breath. "Don't leave like this." "Let go of me," Ethan demanded, though William hadn't touched him. The lobby security guard, Sam, who greeted Diane every morning, looked between them uncomfortably. "Everything okay here, Mr. Blake?" "Fine, Sam. This is my—" William hesitated. "This is Ethan Miller." Understanding dawned on Sam's face as he registered the resemblance between them. "I see, sir. Should I call Mrs. Miller down?" "No need." Diane's voice came from behind them. She'd taken the stairs rather than wait for the elevator. Her face flushed with exertion. "Ethan, please, we need to talk." "Now you want to talk?" Ethan laughed bitterly. After 15 years of lies, people in the lobby were beginning to stare. William placed a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Not here. Let's go somewhere private." For a moment, William thought Ethan would shrug him off, but something in the boy's posture shifted. Resignation, perhaps, or simple exhaustion, and he nodded once. "My car's outside," William said quietly. "We can go to my house." "No," Diane cut in firmly. "No more mansions or offices or places where one of us has power over the others. Neutral ground." William nodded, understanding her concern. "Lincoln Park, by the pond where we used to feed the ducks." Surprise flickered across Diane's face that he remembered. "Fine." The drive to the park was painfully silent. William's driver kept glancing in the rearview mirror, clearly sensing the tension. Ethan stared out the window, arms crossed, while Diane sat rigidly beside him, hands clasped in her lap. William sat across from them, acutely aware of how his expensive suit contrasted with their more modest clothing, one more symbol of the gulf between their lives. At the park, William instructed his driver to wait, and the three of them walked to a secluded bench overlooking the pond. Families with strollers passed by. Elderly couples fed the ducks. Joggers wove around them, life continuing as normal while their world imploded. "I don't even know where to start," Diane finally said, breaking the silence. "How about with why you never told me the truth?" Ethan's voice was quiet but strained. "All these years, watching other kids with their dads, you let me believe mine didn't want me." "I thought he didn't," Diane admitted. "I thought William knew about you and chose to stay away. And I thought your mother had moved on without me," William added. "My parents told me she'd left Chicago, that she didn't want to be found. So everyone's been lying to everyone," Ethan concluded bitterly. "Great." William leaned forward. "Ethan, I need you to understand something. If I had known about you, if my parents hadn't hidden your mother's letters, I would have been there from the very beginning." "You can't know that," Ethan challenged. "You were young, about to take over a company. Maybe you would have sent money but stayed away." "No," William's voice was firm. "I loved your mother. When she disappeared from my life, it nearly destroyed me. Finding out I had a child with her." He shook his head. "I would have moved heaven and earth to be in your life." Diane's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "William, it's the truth, Diane." He met her gaze steadily. "You know it is." A tense silence fell between them. Ethan looked between his parents, seeing for the first time the lingering connection that still bound them together despite years of separation. "There's more you need to know," William continued, turning back to Ethan. "About why our family was separated. It wasn't just my parents who interfered." "What do you mean?" Ethan asked. "Jessica, my wife. She was involved too. She helped orchestrate the separation." Diane frowned. "How do you know that?" "Because I hired a private investigator the moment I suspected Ethan might be my son." William pulled a folder from his jacket. "This arrived an hour before Ethan showed up at my office." He opened it to reveal photographs from college, phone records, witness statements, a paper trail revealing that Jessica had worked with William's parents to separate him from Diane after learning of the pregnancy. "She was obsessed with me in college," William explained. "When she found out your mother was pregnant, she saw an opportunity. She convinced my parents that the scandal would ruin our family name, that I was being trapped by a gold digger. I never wanted his money," Diane said fiercely. "Never. I know that now." William's voice softened. "But my parents were easily convinced. They'd never approved of our relationship. Jessica presented herself as the sensible alternative, the appropriate choice. By the time I returned from London, heartbroken and convinced you'd abandoned me, she was there to pick up the pieces. So you married her," Ethan concluded. "It was a business merger more than a marriage," William admitted. "The Blake and Harper families united. It made sense at the time. And now?" Diane asked softly, before William could answer. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression darkened. "Jessica's calling an emergency board meeting. She's trying to have me removed as CEO." "Can she do that?" Ethan asked, momentarily distracted from his anger by this new development. "She can try. Her family owns significant shares. And she's convinced some board members that I'm mentally unfit due to family stress. William stood. I need to get to that meeting. Go, Diane said. Ethan and I have more to talk about anyway. William hesitated, torn between his company and his newly discovered family. This isn't over, the three of us. We have a lot to figure out. One crisis at a time, Diane said with a hint of her old pragmatism. William nodded, then impulsively reached out and squeezed Ethan's shoulder. I meant what I said. I would have been there, after William left. Diane and Ethan sat in silence, watching the wind create ripples across the pond's surface. I should have told you, Diane finally said. I was wrong to keep it from you. Why did you? Ethan asked, his anger giving way to genuine confusion. Why hide who my father was, especially after we moved back to Chicago? After you started working at his company, Diane sighed. Pride, fear, the belief that he'd rejected us. She looked at her son, really looked at him, and maybe protection too. I didn't want you to know your father didn't want you, or so I thought. All those times I asked about him. I told you half-truths, that he was smart like you, that he loved science, that he had your same dimple when he smiled. Diane reached for his hand. I never lied about who he was, only about what happened between us. Ethan didn't pull away, which Diane counted as a small victory. What happens now? He asked. I don't know, she answered honestly. That depends on a lot of things, including what you want. I don't even know what I want, Ethan admitted. Everything's changed so fast. As the sun began to set over Lincoln Park, mother and son sat together, the weight of 15 years of secrets between them, facing an uncertain future that somehow contained both more complications and more possibilities than either had imagined possible just days ago. The Blake Industries boardroom crackled with tension. Board members sat stiffly around the massive mahogany table, glancing uncomfortably between William and Jessica, who sat at opposite ends like opposing generals. I've called this emergency meeting, Jessica began, her voice steady, because recent developments have raised concerns about William's judgment and focus. What developments? Asked Harold Winters. The longest-serving board member, Jessica passed folders to each member. William has discovered he has a teenage son from a previous relationship, with one of our janitorial staff no less. He's been meeting with this boy secretly, showing clear favoritism in the mentorship program, and is now talking about publicly acknowledging him. Murmurs rippled around the table. William remained calm, waiting for the whispers to subside. Is this true, William? Harold asked. Parts of it, William acknowledged. I recently discovered I have a 15-year-old son. His mother works for our building services contractor, and yes, I intend to acknowledge him publicly, because he is my son, and I'm proud of him. The optics are concerning, another board member noted. The timing, with the Westridge merger negotiations. The timing was not my choice, William interrupted. But I won't apologize for embracing my son now that I know of his existence. Jessica smiled thinly, which brings us to the question of William's judgment. Making major personal decisions that affect the company without board consultation. My family is not a board matter, William said firmly. It becomes one when it affects shareholder value, Jessica countered. Your behavior these past weeks has been erratic, distracted. I'm proposing a temporary leave of absence while you adjust to these new circumstances. William had anticipated this move. He pulled out his own folder. Before we vote on that proposal, I think the board should review these documents. He distributed copies of the investigator's report, carefully redacted to focus solely on Jessica's involvement in separating him from Diane and concealing his child. 15 years ago, my wife conspired with my parents to hide my son's existence from me, William stated as the board members scanned the evidence. She knew Diane was pregnant with my child and actively worked to ensure I never found out. Shocked expressions spread around the table. Jessica's composed facade cracked slightly. This is absurd. Ancient history dredged up to distract from the current issue. The current issue, William replied evenly, is integrity and judgment. You've questioned mine. I'm questioning yours. Harold cleared his throat. These allegations are serious, Jessica. They're irrelevant. Jessica's voice had an edge now. Whatever happened 15 years ago has nothing to do with William's current inability to lead this company. I disagree, William said, standing. "I believe someone who would deliberately separate a father from his child, who would build a marriage on deception, shows exactly the kind of judgment this board should be concerned about." The room fell silent. Jessica's face had gone pale with fury. "I move that we table Jessica's proposal," Harold finally said, "and perhaps both Blakes should recuse themselves while the board discusses these personal matters privately." As William and Jessica were escorted to separate waiting areas, the power dynamic between them had irrevocably shifted. For the first time in their marriage, William held the upper hand. Diane and Ethan had moved from the park to a small diner nearby, neutral territory where they could continue their conversation over comfort food. Ethan demolished a burger and fries while Diane picked at her salad, her appetite gone. "What did William mean when he said, 'This isn't over'?" Ethan asked between bites. "About us being a family or whatever." Diane sighed. "I honestly don't know, Ethan. Everything's happening so fast. Do you think he expects us to suddenly play happy family like Sunday dinners at his mansion or something?" Ethan's tone was skeptical, but Diane caught the hint of curiosity beneath it. "I don't expect anything," she replied carefully, "and neither should you. William has a complicated life, a company to run." "A wife?" Ethan added. "Yes, though from what we saw today, I'm not sure how long that will last." Ethan considered this. "Do you still have feelings for him? For my dad?" The question caught Diane off guard. She'd spent 15 years carefully avoiding that particular reflection. "What William and I had was a long time ago," she said finally. "We were different people then." "That's not really an answer," Diane smiled ruefully. "You're too smart for your own good. You know that. I get it from both sides, apparently." Ethan's attempt at humor was a small olive branch, and Diane grasped it gratefully. "I don't know what I feel for William now," she admitted. "For 15 years I thought he'd abandoned us, finding out he didn't know about you, that he would have wanted to be in your life. It changes things, but not everything." "No," she agreed. "Not everything." Ethan pushed his empty plate away. "I'm still mad at you for keeping this from me. I know, you have every right to be. But I get why you did it. At least I'm trying to." He met her eyes directly. "I don't want some fairy tale where we all suddenly become the perfect family. But maybe I'd like to get to know him, as whatever he is to me now." Diane reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "I think he'd like that very much." 3 days later, Diane found herself in an unfamiliar position. Sitting in William's home office in his Lincoln Park mansion, having been invited there for a conversation she'd been both dreading and anticipating. The house was elegant but warmer than she'd expected. Bookshelves filled with well-read volumes, photographs of places rather than people, comfortable furniture that invited actual use rather than mere admiration. "Jessica's moved out," William said without preamble, entering with 2 cups of coffee. "She's filed for divorce." "I'm sorry," Diane said automatically. William's lip quirked. "No, you're not. Neither am I, truthfully." She accepted the coffee with a small smile. "What happened at the board meeting?" "They voted to retain me as CEO. Jessica's resigned from the board." He sat across from her. "The story will break soon. About Ethan being my son. I've already informed our PR team. How will you handle it?" "With the truth that I recently discovered I have a son, that I'm overjoyed to have him in my life, and that I ask for privacy as our family navigates this new relationship." William studied her face. "If that's acceptable to you," Diane nodded slowly. "Ethan and I talked. He'd like to get to know you." Relief washed over William's features. That's more than I dared hope for." "He has conditions," Diane warned. "He doesn't want special treatment. No lavish gifts. No pulling strings at school. He wants to earn things on his own merit. He really is your son," William said with a fond smile. "And yours. That stubborn pride. All Blake." They shared a moment of understanding that bridged the 15-year gap between them. "And you, Diane?" William asked softly. "Where do you fit in this new arrangement?" "I'm Ethan's mother. That doesn't change." "I didn't mean—" "I know what you meant," she interrupted gently. "And I don't have an answer yet. Too much has happened too quickly." William nodded, accepting this. "Would you and Ethan join me for lunch on Saturday? Nothing fancy, just a start?" Diane considered the man before her. Older, Wiser perhaps, but with the same eyes that had once looked at her with such love. The path forward was uncertain, complicated by history and hurt, but no longer blocked by lies. "I think we'd like that," she said finally. Saturday arrived sunny and mild. William suggested a small Italian restaurant in their old neighborhood, a place they'd gone to as college students when they could scrape together enough money for a proper date. Diane and Ethan arrived first. She'd fretted over what to wear, settling on a simple sundress that made her feel confident without trying too hard. Ethan wore his usual jeans and button-down, his concession to the occasion being slightly neater hair than usual. When William walked in, he seemed different somehow, less the corporate titan and more the man Diane had once known. He'd dressed casually in slacks and a polo shirt, no tie or jacket in sight. "You came," he said, relief evident in his voice. "We said we would," Ethan replied with teenage matter-of-factness they ordered, navigating the initial awkwardness with safe topics. Ethan's school projects, William's foundation work, the unusually pleasant weather. Gradually, the conversation found a more natural rhythm. When their food arrived, they fell silent for a moment. The reality of what they were doing, sharing their first meal as a family, suddenly overwhelming. "This is weird, right?" Ethan finally said, breaking the tension. "I mean, for all of us," William chuckled. "Definitely weird. But good weird," Diane added softly. "Yeah," Ethan agreed, a tentative smile forming. "Good weird," as they ate, sharing stories and cautiously building bridges between their separate lives. Diane watched the two most important men in her world begin to find their way toward each other. There were still mountains of complications ahead, years of missed moments they could never reclaim, wounds that would take time to heal. But sitting there, in that moment of simple connection over pasta and breadsticks, she allowed herself to believe that what her heart had always known might actually be true, that despite everything, the love that had created Ethan had never really died. It had just been waiting for the chance to begin again.